Right, so it's been a while since I've done an update video on my training and where I'm at in heading into Cairns. So my last video was probably close to or a little over 12 months ago when I was aiming for Cairns last year. And unfortunately around March I had a fall on the bike, just a stupid little training accident. I was on the bike path, went to take a right turn, went a bit across to the left as I was taking the turn and didn't see a heap of slippery moss on the concrete path, so down I went. But the fall was fairly hard and ended up straining the inside of the left groin and ended up on crutches for a little while. So scrapped the training, scrapped the journey to Cairns. So just to recap, for those of you who don't know me or haven't been on this channel before, my name is Des Trindle. I'm a 57-year-old triathlete, Brisbane, Australia. I work full-time. I have a family here in Brisbane, so I'm trying to balance my training around work, family, and also losing weight. I was pretty sedentary, I guess you could call it. I was training racehorses for quite a few years and my weight ballooned up to 104, 105 kilos, and I just felt sick and tired all the time, and I thought, well, I need to lose weight. How do I do that? How I've always done that is having some sort of goal training. So what I did was I set the goal of Ironman Port Macquarie because I'd been there a few times. I'd done that race 4 times over the last 20 odd plus years. I thought that's a great way of losing weight anyway, and it also, I'm the type of person that needs to, I guess, have a goal or something to focus on to be able to get out the door and do that exercise and lose that weight. So that was around June 2023. I started some very slow training. I ended up with a few injuries, ankle, feet, things like that. And I'm going to put that down to the weight and the fact that I hadn't done any formal training for quite a few years. I did get through to Ironman Australia in 2024, and it wasn't a great race. It wasn't a bad race. I still finished, and that was the whole goal of it. My weight had only come down to 93 kilos. To give you some perspective on that, when I'd raced that particular race, Ironman Port Macquarie in 2014, I was about 77 kilos. So I was carrying a lot of extra weight, and they'd increased the hills on the bike, which didn't help whatsoever. But we did finish, and away we went. So had a little bit of a break, just lighter training after that, and then started to focus on Port Macquarie for the following year. Never really got to it. As I said, there was a bike crash in March, and I'd also decided to, rather than going to Port, which by then I'd finished 5 times, I've never done Cairns, so I was actually going to plan on racing Cairns in June 2025. So scrapped that, and away we went. Now, about June 2025, I was able to commence some light training, which was good just to get that leg working again. I didn't run for about the first 6 to 8 weeks of the training. I just purely kept it to swim bike. And then I slowly introduced the run, just 15-minute, 20-minute runs, very light to start with, and then working out to that. So where we're at now, where are we? January the 27th, so we're January 27, 2026, so we're well and truly heading in, a bit over 4 months into Cairns 2026, entered, accommodation, airfare and all that sorted, so we're fully committed. I've been fortunate enough this season already to have a few races. I kicked off my first race with the Bribie sprint distance try of 750-25, legendary Bribie races. Managed to surprise myself with a 2nd place in my age category there. My run sort of let me down again, and that seems to be a common theme. that's always been with me the last thing that comes good. I'm a pretty solid swimmer. I can do the bike fairly easy, but I do always struggle on the run, and I always have over the last 20 odd years. And it's only when I get my weight right down and my fitness comes up that I seem to be able to run consistently. We backed that up with another race on the 29th of September at Moreton Bay Try, I think it's called, at Clontarf there. Once again, another sprint distance. It was only a week after Bribey, but the shorter races, it doesn't really matter. Picked up another second place there. We went down to Kingscliff on the 16th of November. Did an Olympic distance of 1.5, 40 and 10 for any of you guys that were down there. It was a pretty wet and wild day. Great swim down the river, so you get a bit of current assistance. The bike is a multi-loop course, a bit wet on the day, so took it very, very steady. And the run, twists around the river, up and over and back and forth, and I think it was 2 laps or something like that. Very scenic, very pretty, but you never really get the chance to get into a proper rhythm. But did manage to take another second place away. From then we moved on to the 25th of November down to one of another Queensland Tri-Series races at Robina. It was meant to be an Olympic distance again, but standing on the starting line there was a horrendous storm, a lot of lightning. The organisers in their wisdom looked at their lightning policy and went, no, we're going to delay the start. With the delayed start, we were going to run out of time with the road closures there on the Robina pathways. So what they did was they reduced the distance to a sprint distance. So not upset about that. It was a good call on the organisers' part, and it's always got to look at the safety of the competitors. Very competitive race. I ended up with a 3rd place there. Still happy with that. Into the new year, back to Robina again. We ended up doing the same distance. It was the State Sprint Distance Championships, I believe, 750-25 again. I did opt that day to go to the Olympic distance, so I ended up doing the 1.5, 40 and the 10k, just because I felt that I needed that endurance, and picked up another second. So eventually I guess I'm going to crack the first place on the age group podium, but it's just consistency is there, which I'm happy with. So on that 11th of January race, I was still carrying a little bit of an illness. Christmas Day, I got a bit of a sniffly nose, and just shortly after that, I ended up spending 3 days quite ill, mostly lying around the lounge or lying in bed. And then literally the following week, I did very, very light and very short work leading into Robina. And hindsight, I probably shouldn't have raced the Robina race. I did end up carrying that on the chest after the race for about another week and a half, 2 weeks. So just starting to feel a little bit better from it now. So the plans moving forward from here is we'll continue with a few of the shorter distance races. I think this weekend we have Raby Bay, Cleveland area, I think it is. So we head there, do that. Then we're down to the Tweed Enduro for another hit out there. I think there's another Kingscliff after that, and then all systems go heading into Cairns. So I guess this video is just to bring you up to date, or bring everyone back up to date where my training at, how I've been going, why I was sort of off channel for a little while. Good news on the weight stuff. I've managed to drop a crap load of weight the last few months in particular, and I've broken the 80 mark and back down to that 78 kilo weight, which is, I haven't been in a long time, and it certainly has helped with the running. So moving forward from here, what I'll do is I think twice a week I'll just give a bit of an overview of what the training has been. I want to be very transparent with my training heading into Cairns, and then also what results that gets me. What I am finding, 57, it's a lot harder. Well, I don't seem to remember it being this hard, especially the recovery side. I'm having to listen to my body a lot more, and if I feel like I need to, the other day I did a 4-hour ride. I had in my own program, and I self-trained, as I had a 20-minute run off the bike, but it was 31 degrees, and I thought I'm just going to dig a hole for myself, so I didn't do the run off the bike. I stayed in the air conditioning, We've had really terrible hot weather in Brisbane, as have most of the rest of Australia, and elected to do that 30-minute easy run later in the afternoon, and it cooled down about 5:30, 6 o'clock that evening. So they're the sort of things that I'll be pretty open with moving forward. Is I'll be discussing what I've done that week and how I've sort of adapted and how I'm feeling towards that leading into Cairns. So anyway, that's where we're at. If you've got this far in the video, you're doing pretty well listening to me rambling on. So thanks for that. Any questions, please feel free to leave the comments down. I do get notifications, and we'll answer any questions that anyone has. A little bit disclaimer to finish off with. I'm not a coach or anything like that. I have been doing the sport since I was about 14, I think my first race was, so quite a few years. And there's a lot of times where I'll be competitively racing for a few years, and then I might disappear for a few years and I'll be doing other stuff, and then I'll come back and pick up again. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. I look forward to chatting with everyone in the next video, and have a great week and be safe out there on the roads. Cheers.